I carried deep fear, anger, and sadness in me that I was too unfamiliar with myself to be aware of. As I took my time and space back, I realized I had spent enough time at war with myself. Now I'm learning to allow my presence in the present to inspire me and not terrify me. Now I choose to carry gratitude, acceptance, and curiosity as I meet the depths of my fear, anger, and sadness. Joy. Oh, to be in joy. Welcome to episode 7 of Meeting Myself. Here and now. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you, and thank you so much for coming back and tuning in. If you are new, welcome to Meeting Myself. My name is Selwane Mukhomo, and in today's meeting, I really just wanted to talk to you guys about the concept time and space, how I define them now that I'm conscious of my experience of them. And just how I experienced time and space in the past, and how I want to experience time and space going forward with the knowledge that I have now and with the perspective that I have now on life and just things in general. So basically we're meeting Selwane in time and space. I'm not gonna lie, I was really excited to talk about this because it's just been like I think time for me as an experience has started to feel like a privilege, which it hasn't always been. I haven't always enjoyed my time here on earth, but with an expanded perspective, I've started to kind of appreciate my time in life, with my expanded perspective and my conscious definition of time, even space. I've started to experience the concepts how I prefer to, and I really thought I should share that because I think it's so liberating in our humanly experiences to really take in the things that are gifts from nature as gifts from nature. And I think of time and space as presence. Like I really think, and that's the thing, time is literally in the present moment. It is a gift that nature has given us, and because we're born into humanly constructed systems that are rooted in oppression, we kind of in our pursuit to align with those systems and to participate in those systems, our experiences of nature and the gifts of nature, which are time and space, are stunted, and we start to perceive these gifts, which are time and space, we start to perceive them as curses or like just as things that we don't want for ourselves. You just don't you don't want to be here, you don't want to experience this here-ness, you don't want to experience this now, depending on how I guess these oppressive systems, this white supremacy has stunted your present moment, your here and now. And if you don't learn about white supremacy and these oppressive systems, you won't see that your here and now is stunted. So firstly, as we all know, I'm such a word person, even though I just hate language. Okay, I have a love-hate relationship with just communication medium, because just realizing how much of it is really just happening in our own individual heads, and that we don't really perceive much similarly, has just got me feeling very weird about even just communicating in general. But I feel like all that we've created, as much as it falls short in whatever way and limits us in whatever way, also expands us in some way. Like if you expand your perspective, you'll see the wholeness of a thing, of life, which is everything. These words that we're going through are life. All is life. All is living. And once you kind of see that, you start to appreciate things more. I don't know. We live in a white supremacist society. We live in a society, and societies have structure and have a way of life and order, how things work. And we are working according to Western culture. Like, most of the world is ordered according to a Western culture. I am in South Africa right now, and I know that our order of society is very much westernized. If anything, the Western culture of society is the default in my country, in my community. I want to even say in Africa at large. But we are not Westerners. We're Africans, and we align more with the definitions of our experience. Like, so when we define things, we define them based on our like experiences of them. But that whole way of life was distorted by infiltration and colonization and just destruction of the black civilization. It was stunted, it was distorted, and so now it's like we do have some sense of who we are because our way of life was in tune with nature. So you can't really take people away from nature. Nature is here. You can distract people from nature, and they did that with the culture and the order of society that was dominant for Westerners who come from a different kind of environment. And as far as resources, I want to talk about the book that brought me to the realization that my definition of time and how I thought time worked and how I was experiencing time was actually stunted and distorted. I had lived all my life trying, like grade 1 trying to get to grade 2, matric trying to get into university trying to, I had lived all my life sensing with my sense of time being based on what the world expected of me. So if I hadn't met the expectations of the world at a certain time, that time was dreadful for me. It was just uncomfortable. I wanted to go like I wanted to be in a what do you call it? A traditional university. And I didn't qualify to do that. So my time in the university, the time I spent in the university I was in, it wasn't a university, the college I was in I didn't experience that time as the privilege that it was. I experienced it as, like, how do I put it? I was getting how do you put this? So time, let's say time. With time, we have premium time. Some people who were experiencing time in the place that I wanted to experience time, they had premium time in my head. And me, where I was at, I had just average level time. I was experiencing a basic time, and that way of sensing time is yuck. I just want to tell you. With this new way that I have of sensing time, I have to say that way is yuck. And the book that really, I read a book and it really just, I didn't even notice how much it changed things for me and my experience of time going forward. Because it just left me with so many questions. The Power of Now. I don't necessarily recommend. Read it, man, guys. Read everything you can read. geez, read The Power of Now. But I guess The Power of Now really made me feel like I was ungrateful for the now. Like, I really was ungrateful. Like, I used the now to stress about other times. Imagine that, like, using your present moment to just be consumed in your head about a time that's not even happening outside of you. Yeah. That's kind of the life I was living before I knew I could define time for myself, before I even understood what time was as a concept, you know? So yeah, I basically learned that my power was in the now, and that everything that was making me feel uncomfortable in the now was not happening in the now. It was happening in my head, and I was identifying with my mind. Yeah, and I'm not my mind. Anyway, so I read that book, and it really changed my life. It, like, not even like in a conscious way. Like, I wasn't consciously saying I'm gonna start appreciating the now, but literally, I think as I was reading it, that how I had defined time from my experience, those definitions and the beliefs that I had around time kept on unlocking in my head as I was just reading and consuming this new information that was valid, because it was true. When I'm saying valid, that was true, I mean valid. When I say valid, I mean true. So because I was consuming this information that was valid, and it was invalidating the invalid things that I had in my mind about the concept of time, it was already unlocking just where I had locked myself into an unpleasant experience of time and space. The question, or the invalidating of that, because I wasn't even aware how I was locking myself up, but it was like reading the book was literally just unlocking me. This is why I'm just pro changing your perspective, and understanding what that means is mind-blowing. It just means adding more to your perspective. Like, add more to your perspective. Learn what your perspective is, and then add more to it. Magical. Magical. And to think that when I was reading The Power of Now, I didn't even know what my perspective is. I didn't even realize that I thought of time like this. Like, I obviously would hear myself just saying, re batlang mo lefatsheng, yo, I don't want to be here anymore, and what. Obviously, I was saying things like that. But I wasn't aware that I wasn't enjoying time. I wasn't aware that I had defined time in a way that was unpleasant for me. I wasn't aware. All I was aware of is that I wasn't enjoying time. I wasn't enjoying my time, and I wasn't enjoying the here and now, you know? So I read The Power of Now, and it subconsciously unlocked a lot for me. So I don't know. I think I recommend it. Yeah, I think people should read that book. And I haven't read the one that follows with it, which is called The New Earth, but I think I grasp exactly what it's. I think I know what it wants to tell us, or what it tells people. I think the more I immerse myself in the now of my life, the more I could see that I'm building a whole new world, a whole new life, a whole new me. And New Earth means a lot of Earth itself is doing that. So I went on Google and just found the definitions of the concepts, time and space, and this is how Google defines them. Time: the continued progress of existence and events in the past, present, and future. Space: a continuous area or expanse which is free, available, or unoccupied. These definitions, for me, I don't have any qualms with them as definitions of concepts. These definitions aren't an experience. So they're not based on a human's experience. They're just for the mind to grasp the word. So I have taken, I guess, the initiative to define time and space for myself with the influence of an expanded perspective. For myself as Silwan Mukhum, which you can do as well, whoever you are, wherever you are, you can literally just define words based on your experience and also based on how you want to experience those times, how you want to how you want to understand your experience of the concept. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. So personally, how I've decided to define time and space are as okay, space and time are here and now. Those are my definitions of the terms because that's how I experience them, as here and now. I've experienced time as 12:30, but that's because I was agreeing with you. But according to me personally and going forward, time is only now. Space is only here. And sure, I experience space as home or as Senton or as whatever street. Sure, that's what we've all agreed on. Time can, space can be that. Space can be that. Time can also be 12:30. But it is all of those things, you know? But for purposes of my experience and just how I want to live life going forward, I'm choosing to define time and space, or space and time, as here and now. Like even Einstein said, guys, that time is an illusion. And for me, that makes full sense. Illusions are like distortions in just time is a distortion. It's just what you've made up in your head based on how you experience it. So if you are if you accept that time is 12:30, then when you're asked of time, you will say time is 12:30. If you think of space as these concepts that we've made up of places, how we've named places to order society, if you think of space like that, when you're asked where you are, you will call that, and that is not incorrect. That is not incorrect. That is just shared definitions or shared descriptions of how we experience time. But you can literally have your own personal relationship with time, that no one has to approve or disapprove. I remember when I was a kid, my dad used to do this thing. when he would be asked what time it is, he would say, "Nako ke yona ya matsatsi ohle." I don't know. I'm just I can't believe my dad back then, when I was barely even, he already knew that the now time is just now. That's all time is. It's now. And he would go on to say, to say that time is just now. Even tomorrow at this time, it will be this time. I used to find it so funny because personally I had attached time to a clock because I was young. That's what the world teaches you. Time, they give you clocks. And when you think time, you just time, you look at the order of life. You're moving through phases annually, and then you conceive that you accept time to be functioning like that subconsciously. But then with time and age and an expanded perspective, you start to realize that time is in terms of how your relationship with time is really just the present moment. That's all it is. And even space, it's this current space you're in. That's all it is. It's here. To think that even if I moved to London tomorrow and someone asked me, to think if I moved to London tomorrow, to myself, in my conversation with myself, where I am is here. I would be here the same way I'm here. Like, I can go as far as saying I'm at a park, but that's, you guys would have to agree with the park. Okay, not that you'd have to agree. We've agreed that this space is called a park. But for purposes of my relationship with myself, I'm here. That is, I don't know, I just feel like those definitions are just so freeing for me. Like, they are so liberating. They just feel like a playground. If time and space are here and now, then I have all the power I have. Literally, because here and now is where I'll always be. Or it's where I've always been. I've always been here and now. Every moment of my life is here and now. So my life is time. My life is an experience of time. My life is an experience of space. Angazi if ngiyangizwa bandla ngoba mina I just find this stuff magical as fuck. I just find it magical as stuff. And I'm not even a scientist. Even Einstein said time and space were an illusion. Even my dad. I just didn't know what y'all meant. Anyway, so I guess the many words and numbers we use to describe the experience of time and space are only but creations of the mind. And that is how I grow. Like, I get that time and space are an illusion. We describe time and space in so many ways, you know? And those, like, words and descriptions of time are literally just creations of the human consciousness. We just found ways to describe, to I guess, to speak of our experience of time. That's all we did. And time is not like that complex. It's really not. Time is really just here and now. And I feel like there are some benefits and some pros to I guess how we choose to express our experience of time. There are pros. There are definitely pros. I think the reason I am where I'm at right now, the reason my perspective on time could change, the reason I am even aware that I was defining time is because we have found ways to express our experiences of it. Eckhart expressed his experience and his understanding of time in the book The Power of Now. Here I am doing it in this video, trying to meet myself. So definitely all those creations of the human mind, as much as I am going to go into the cons of them, they do have pros because they lead to the they lead to the collective expansion of our perspective. Like, the collective's perspective expands the more we speak about experiencing the world or concepts. We're not even experiencing concepts, we're experiencing the world. We made up concepts so that we can understand the world. Anyway, I don't know why you guys want to stand under the world. Why do you want to understand the world, guys? Why don't you just shut up and live and just be here and now? I don't know. I'll tell you why. Because white people just came from a part of the land that they deemed to have scarce resources. That's why. Anyway, so they developed limitation mindsets and then went out to conquer the world, spreading that whole shit. So now we experience time like it's sometimes we experience time like it's running out, or we experience time like it's left us behind, or we just experience time in so many ways that are distorted, that aren't good for us, or we define time as in ways that aren't good for us, because these people were suffering and decided misery loves company. Anyways, so these many ways we've decided to, I guess, describe time and space, which you can describe space as my home, London, Santon, the park. So many ways to describe space or time. We can say now, we can say the past, we can say yesterday, we can say Monday, we can say tomorrow. There's so many ways we have made up to describe time and how we experience time and space. And all those things are just like us being creative as we are. We're just making up shit. And we also are just shit that was made up. So of course we'll just carry on making shit up. Which I find it cute, I'm not gonna lie. I find it cute. So understanding that that's what we're doing. We're just creating. And creation is neutral. Life is neutral. Existence is neutral. So time as an experience, you can experience it from a place of being liberated. You can experience it from a place of being oppressed. Definitely I experience it from a place of being oppressed, in that as much as I have my own individual personal power, I still live in a world of many people who also have power, who also have agreed to keep certain definitions alive, and to keep certain definitions more like they should rank higher than other definitions. So how I would choose to define time for myself personally doesn't necessarily hold water to everybody, in the sense that, so everyone is experiencing time here and now, time and space here and now. You all are, whether you like it or not. But your perception of that, I have no control over that. I have no control over that. So I guess understanding that the collective consciousness, which is the mind of humanity at large, is built on Western culture that is oppressive and continues to oppress, tells me enough about the intention behind these words, the words and numbers and stuff like that were created for us to relate to time and reality and space, which reality is time and space. The words and all these things that were created out of the collective conscious of a Western culture, the intention behind them were not to empower. They were to distract and distort, which they have done exactly that, distract and distort. And hence people have to speak about how they experience these concepts, so that how they experience these concepts and how they want to experience these concepts. Basically we kind of have to take our power back in terms of how we use language, because the intention behind some of the creations doesn't align with the intention that we are using when we use these creations. It also, the intention behind the creation of these concepts has had the impact of oppression on the world. So the intention, so it doesn't really even matter if these people were creating, they were creating these things from a place of lack. So they lacked, and how do I put this? So they lacked, and from the perspective of lack, you curate a reality where we're treating time like it's running away from us. We just don't have anything. Even space, we have to border up, the world, take the whole earth and lock it up into, like, they'll curate. Obviously, when you're operating from a place of lack, you will create the experience of time that is imprisoning. You will create the experience of space that is imprisoning. Hence why they created the borders. Hence why, like, even just how we live now, like with fences and stuff like that, that is curated from a perspective of time that was stunted. So a perspective of time that is limited to lack. So when we change our perspective, when we see that we've been standing in the shoes of Western culture and defining our personal lives and further creating a general, like, reality that aligns with the perspective of Westerners or white supremacy, when you realize that you can step out of that, as long as you're not aware, you're not gonna step out of it. And the awareness is the perspective changing thing. It is the consuming of information, the unlocking of limiting beliefs and false beliefs. Yeah. Time is not a scarce resource. It is from a certain perspective. Itself as a concept, it's neutral. You can choose to view time however you want to view it. But they've created a world that wants you to view time and space from a place of lack and from a place of just oppression, to perpetuate oppression, to keep it alive. And I guess, like, when I started to understand that, I guess when I started to understand it, I could accept it. For as long as it didn't make sense, I was just unhappy and angry. Like, why does time work like this? Why? Time doesn't work like that. These people you're here on earth are the ones who decided that time works like that. You can decide how time works. I was just like, why does space work like this? I remember walking into my home once and feeling like I just don't wanna be here anymore. I've been seeing these walls so much. It just, like, I was walking through the passage and there was like this heavy feeling of like being imprisoned in a space I didn't want to be in. Which, feelings are valid. You can feel what you're feeling. Like, I'm not against feelings, but feelings come and go. So I can feel imprisoned at home, but I can also feel what? Liberated at home. I can. I can feel imprisoned in, like, literally when I have meetings and they're like, the time is getting close to my meeting, time as an experience feels like uncomfortable. Like, I in that moment I understand why people will describe or define time from a place of lack, because of how I feel. But that feeling goes. And that's why I guess, like, I guess that's why, like, the world is neutral. Because the world, like, everything is neutral. It's based on your experiences, and feelings come and your experience is feeling, it's sensation. Sensations are just ever expansive, ever changing, ever flowing. They're energy. So, also, I just want to point out something that I think people should just take from this video and keep it in your life. My friend told me this principle in life. It's called intent versus impact. So when you create, I think when I'm saying create, I think of everything we do in the world as creation. When you speak, you're creating, because words are alive. When you interact with people, you're creating. As I'm being here, I'm creating. So when you create and you share with your world and you output from yourself, so it's called impact versus intent. So first of all, your intention does not matter more than the impact. That is why how white supremacy, how the white Western culture defines time based on the experience of where they come from. That's why how they define time just sucks, because the impact it has had on the world. Look the fuck around, okay? So yeah, basically when you create anything, when you talk to people, when you just that's why you'll never catch me like watching like just people who don't yet understand the impact of their existence and their being and just things that they choose to do. People who haven't yet grasped that their intention means nothing in as far as the impact that they're having in the world. Like, if the impact of what you're doing is harm, your intention, it doesn't matter. We're not gonna talk about, oh, I wanted to be a successful this. Really, when you housed rapists and gave like rapists a place to speak, you just wanted to be a successful podcaster. Fuck you, you know. That's why I'm like fuck white people, because why didn't you guys just heal? Like, also, black people didn't like hurt you when you came here, or any other people didn't hurt you. You could have just like healed. Now I'm in a place where I'm learning about like astrology, and like astrology just makes you experience, like, understanding astrology obviously like expands my perspective. And as I'm learning about astrology, I'm learning about how different cultures and ways of lives have been in this timeline of life. They have been. People have perceived time and space and ordered societies in a way that perceives time and space from a place of, how do I put it, liberation. So I just want people to be aware of that impact versus intent. The intention of white supremacy, when it created its own way of life, really was because they lived in circumstances of lack. It really was to be empowered and to, I guess, like, make their reality work. That was their intention. But if you look at the impact, it was never sustainable. White supremacy, white culture as we know it, was never sustainable. What it actually has proven to do is to distort and to separate. When we perceive time and space from the perspective of white culture, we're always chasing something, or we're always behind, or we're never where we want to be. Or I was like it goes as far as I was sitting in the car on my way to work on one of the days, and I was just like even as I'm here in the car, the only thing that's consuming my mind is where I'm going. I'm sitting here and it's about where I'm going. It's not about sitting here. And that's the kind of culture that comes from a place of lack. That's how you experience reality and the gifts of nature. Time and space are gifts of nature. For me to be standing in a space, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm practicing so much gratitude these days, but wow. And then I choose to perceive my now as me being held back. then I choose to experience my here as what? No. If I can choose, I'm not. Of course, if like a random guy comes and catcalls me, I'm not choosing to experience this space as turmoil or as uncomfortable. It will be me experiencing this space as uncomfortable until the feeling leaves. If I'm not feeling uncomfortable anymore, I'm not experiencing discomfort here and now anymore. So for me to take here and now and attach it to discomfort is not fair. It's not fair. So to me, it's not fair to me. I don't want to attach the gift of here and now, the present of the present moment, and my presence in the present moment. I don't want to just give that away. Right now, I'm literally actively choosing to feel good because I have that power. I literally have the power to feel how I want to feel here and now. So why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I? Especially considering how I used to like experience my here and now. Let's talk about that. Man, I think I used to only store feeling good for specific moments, like when you pass the end of the day. Like at specific times, that's the time I used to like allow myself to be in a state I prefer, because that's how the world works. After your 9 hours, when you're on your way home, that's when you get to be in the state of your preference. After school, or a weekend, or when you're at a fun fair, instead of wherever you just are. Like I used to, guys, I used to not like being at school. I used to not like being, like, so much of my life's experience, so much of the nows that the presence of the present moment, I didn't experience them in a state of being that I prefer. I didn't even know I could. Like, I really didn't know I had power in terms of time. I thought I was a victim to it. But it's literally my present. Like, me being here is like my time slip. Like, what? So, like, I like thinking about how much of my experience of time and space was just so unpleasant because of the definitions that I found here of time and space based on how we were experiencing time and space. We were experiencing time and space in the order of a Western culture. Or not are experiencing time and space in the societal order of white supremacy. That shit had me in a place where I just felt like let me say that in English. I felt like I was locked into time. Like locked in. Like there was nothing I can do to get out of time. Why the fuck would I want to get out of time? Because of white supremacy. Because of oppression. Because of the uncomfortable experience that oppressive cultures have created. But I know that now. I understand that now. So I can accept it and choose differently. And I don't know how many times to tell you guys that expand your perspectives, learn things. Understanding helps you accept, and acceptance is surrender. That's where your power is at. That's where your power is at. Especially as an individual. So I really never used to not never. I would experience like time and space in states that I prefer, but only where society agreed. Society agreed that I get to be happy when I'm getting certificate of merit. If society agrees that I have to be happy when I pass the year. Societies agree that I have to be happy I don't know, man, when my parents are happy about something, at times that society is the one that's telling me when I should be happy. Come on. What a mess, what a mess. So I did get to experience time and space in a being that I prefer. But that was still like curated for me, you know? Like it was literally curated for me. I was just following rules. It's weird and crazy, but it's literally the reality of, I think, even everyone in the world, because when you're born you don't know nothing. What a plan, nature. I just want to say nature just is an interesting dude or whatever. But this landing us here results in it next. And then you guys have made up, and we think they are there, they are real. God, these just things you made up. I can also just make up things. Whoa. Wow, nature. Wow, my guy. So also, like, I think I should also just speak a little bit of like the way white supremacy has constructed, like, has ordered society and has curated our experience of the present, of the presence. The way white supremacy has curated that experience impacts mental health. It impacted my mental health. Learning about how a lot of my anxiety that I was feeling was because of thoughts that I had running in my mind that like I was, I don't know, supporting and I guess consuming, and just because I'm addicted to the feeling, or I know, or I'm familiar to the feeling that I get from these thoughts, and that feeling is what I know and it's safe. That feeling of anxiety is, it's for me, it's normalized considering how I grew up. And also just like think about white supremacy. Like if you're existing in a white supremacist society, your parents are coercing. They are coercing. And if your parents are coercing, are you not affected? You're affected. And that's just that. So when they go on you, and you certain emotions and certain feelings start to be a thing for you. Being anxious is a thing. Anyway, so how I used to experience time and space was not how I wanted to. It was really how the world had influenced the definition that was building up subconsciously in my head throughout my experience of life. That was really how I was experiencing time. But now I have consumed more and expanded my perspective, and now I'm like actively choosing that going forward I'll be experiencing time and space as now and here and now. That is the most powerful and liberated I feel in the experience of here and in the experience of time and space, because things are alive. These words, they mean things, they mean experiences. They don't it's not just the word. Time is not just the word, it's an experience. And I wanted to say, I think that English is the thing, that English as a language separates us from our experience. And I think that when English was designed, that was quite it was intended. If it wasn't, that's the impact it's having. And so if your intention, again, fuck that, because the impact is that using the language has separated us from our experiences. And that's what's causing most of the world's cognitive dissonance, because they are distorted from their own experience. They are separated, which, whatever, none of my beeswax. Thank you guys. I think I'm done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I I'm on day 1 of my period and it's so uncomfortable, but I just thought, I have here and now, let me just go shoot. Maybe I will like what I come up with. And I think I enjoyed shooting today's videos. Thank you so much for joining me in today's meeting. I hope you are inspired to change your definition of time and space and have an experience of time and space that you curate and that you prefer. It's all love from me. I was here to meet this beautiful girl in the screen, and she has decided to redefine these concepts so that she can experience them better, and I love that for her. Shout out Silani. I love you very much, my dear, and I will see you in our next meeting. Bye.